Imagine you own a used furniture store. And imagine this store is made up of two sections: the front rooms, where everything is visible, and the back rooms, where everything is hidden. Which furniture would you put in your front rooms? Probably the most desirable furniture, right? The furniture that doesn't have scuffs and scratches and pee stains from the previous owner. The furniture that you think looks good, because that's where paying customers are going to be. And paying customers don't want to look at or buy bad looking furniture, right? I mean, maybe there's some weirdo out there who would prefer his couches to be pee stained, but for the most part, I think we can all agree that the front rooms should be saved for the finest furniture, which leaves the back rooms for the stinkiest, ugliest, and least desirable furniture. Because that's where the paying customers won't be, right? The back rooms are kind of like the storage space underneath your bed. You don't shove your favorite toys underneath your bed. You put them on the shelf where all of your friends can see them. The same thing goes for a golf bag. You put your best clubs in the golf bag, and you leave the dinged up pitching wedge that you can't hit without chunking at home. The same thing goes for your soul. Your soul has front rooms and back rooms, too. You shove the ugly, disordered, and sinful parts of your soul to the back rooms, and you put the beautiful, orderly, and Christ-like parts of your soul on display in the front rooms for the world to see. The more beautiful pieces of furniture you collect to display in your front rooms, the more successful your business or your life will be. And the more time you spend in the front rooms with that beauty, the closer you will get to God, and the happier you will be. But what happens when you accumulate more ugly pieces of furniture than beautiful pieces, and you spend more time exploring your back rooms with the ugliness than your beautiful front rooms? That's what The Backrooms, this new horror film directed by Kane Parsons, is about. The synopsis is simple. The owner of a furniture store finds a secret doorway that leads him to an endless stretch of rooms. When he disappears, his therapist ventures into the unknown to rescue him. Now, before I discuss what The Backrooms actually means and the deeply Christian message that we can take away from it, I want to ask you a question, because it's the key to everything we're about to talk about. Why is a never-ending maze of disorderly, stale, yellow rooms so creepy? And why is a different building, like, let's say, a Catholic chapel, so beautiful? Seriously, what's the difference? Can you tell me? Can you put it into words? I mean, they're both rooms. They both have furniture. They both have light. Why does one bring you indescribable peace while the other one brings you indescribable dread? You might say, duh. Of course a Catholic chapel is more beautiful than the back rooms. But I'm asking you, why? I think the answer is that as humans, we are children of God. And that means we were made to find godly things beautiful, and anything not made by God ugly. If you're an atheist and you disagree, then let me ask you this. Why does it feel so dang good to clean your house? Why does it feel so much better to come home to an orderly home? Why, when you dress up for a nice occasion like a wedding, you feel more put together? Why does it feel so good to get a haircut? Why do you appreciate a big, beautiful meal more than a burger from McDonald's? And why is watching a beautiful sunset on the beach so awe-inspiring? Because you were made to love order. You were made to seek the most beautiful pieces of furniture and spend as much time with them as possible. You weren't made to collect ugly pieces of furniture and then spend all your time in the back rooms with them. When you do that, when you spend a lot of time in chaos, a lot of time sinning, which means to turn away from God, you are quite literally living in hell. Not actual hell, of course, but it's a small tease of what hell will be like if you continue seeking out disorderly things in this life. It's a small tease of the world without divine order, a world without God, a world like the Backrooms, where everything feels off and you feel horrified. Whether you believe in God or not, I think we can all agree the Backrooms are ugly and terrifying, which means we agree that there is a truth in terms of what ugly is and what is beautiful. Atheists say it's just a strange coincidence. They'll say the Backrooms are ugly because humans evolved to think yellow rooms with weird-looking furniture are ugly. Or they'll say the opposite. They'll say some people actually like messy rooms. Some people actually like ugly furniture. Some people actually like sinning. And some people would actually prefer to explore their own backrooms than their own beautiful front rooms. They want to get lost in their backrooms, just like Clark did. And to those people, I say this. That's fine. You have free will thanks to God. You are free to curate the ugliest collection of furniture the world has ever seen. And you are welcome to spend all of your time with it. Just like the unlikable scientists we meet at the end of the movie who discover the backrooms and devote their entire lives to exploring them. God gives us a ticket out of the backrooms and into the front rooms. A ticket out of hell and into heaven. He gives us the treasure map. He tells us exactly what we need to do to live in His grace and get into heaven. But you don't have to accept it and get on the train if you don't want to. You're free to say no to God's order and say yes to the devil's chaos. But you have to live with the eternal consequences. When Clark goes into the backrooms, he meets perverted versions of different people in his life. The reason why they look so ugly is because these are the hellish versions of them he has in his head. In his head, his wife is an annoying, nagging, ungrateful woman. Even though she actually wasn't any of those things, he was so deep into the backroom, so deep into hell, that everything good got distorted. Everything good became ugly, and everything ugly became good. That's what Satan is. He's an inversion of Christ. Instead of humility, Satan is consumed by pride, just like Clark. His entire life is me, 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 me. He spends all his life working and working and working, trying to make his used furniture business successful, never spending time with his wife, never loving his wife, always drunk and angry, and he blames his wife for their marriage becoming a living hell. Clark's pride is an ugly pea-stained couch he would throw to the backrooms. And his humility, if he had any, would be a beautiful, white, pristine couch you would keep in the front rooms. The irony is, the reason why Clark's business is failing is because he doesn't have any beautiful furniture to offer. He doesn't have any good, beautiful, godly virtues left because he chose to replace them with ugly sins. Instead of hope about his life, he's living in despair. Instead of love, he's filled with hatred and selfishness. Instead of temperance, he's an alcoholic. Instead of generosity, he's greedy. Instead of patience, he's filled with wrath. He's curated the world's ugliest collection of virtues, and it's made his life a living hell. Even worse, he fell so far from God's grace and grew so close to the devil that he actually became evil itself. He invited the people around him to join him in his hell, because that's the thing about people who spend too much time in the backrooms of their soul with the devil. They're contagious. They're like parasites that will lure you into their hell and destroy your heaven if you're not careful. And that's the danger of being a therapist who hasn't cleaned out her own backrooms yet. Dr. Mary Klein is pulled into Clark's backrooms because that's her job. She's a therapist. People don't go to therapy to talk about all the beautiful furniture they have in their front rooms. They go to therapy to talk about the vile, disgusting, and disorderly furniture they can't get rid of in their back rooms. So therapists have to be careful that they are actually helping the client clean out their back rooms rather than be tempted by the devil to come join them there. And they will tempt you. They will make it seem like they need your help, like they're lost in the back rooms and you have to come save them. And unfortunately for Dr. Mary, she falls for Clark's trap. He tricks her into coming into his back rooms. When she gets there, she learns that he wasn't in trouble after all. Clark was right where he wanted to be, away from God's beautiful and orderly creation and inside his own terrifying and disorderly hell. Because that's what life looks like without God. Hell is simply the absence of God. If we try to create our own version of heaven against God's will, we get the back rooms. We get rooms that feel off and people who look off. And worst of all, we get death. But not just death, eternal death of the soul. The last image of the movie is Dr. Mary's horrifying backrooms version of herself. The version of herself that Clark sees when he talks to her. The annoying therapist who won't tell him he's right about everything and he's perfect and he doesn't need to change. Because that's what good people look like to bad people. Bad people hate beauty. They hate good virtues. They hate humble people. They hate generous people. They hate patient people. They hate hopeful people. They hate faithful people. And so in Clark's backrooms, his wife and Dr. Mary are ugly, even though in the real world, they're beautiful. Because the more normal you look in the backrooms, the uglier your soul. Because Satan is an inversion of Christ, and the backrooms are an inversion of the front rooms. That's why Clark seems so happy to be content and a non-alcoholic mess of a man when he's in the backrooms. Because he's the inversion of his front room self. In the backrooms, he's happy. And that's the worst possible place you could be as a human. Happier in your backrooms than the front rooms. Happier on the path to hell than on the path to heaven. Because then you'll never want to leave. So, how do you clean out your own backrooms and avoid getting stuck there? How do you avoid getting lured into someone else's backrooms? How do you curate a heavenly collection of furniture, grow a successful business, have a happy family, and live an orderly life filled with virtue? Simple. You live according to God's will, just like all the saints.